It's October, so soon LSS is going to announce some information regarding a new Flesh and Blood format called Silver Age. Now, if you don't know what Silver Age is, it's basically a midpoint between Blitz and Commoner. It's a Young Hero 40 card deck format where you can only have commons and rares in your deck. It was also pilot tested under the name Project Blue, and honestly, I'm pretty excited for it. I think it has a lot of potential and can really do a lot for the game of Flesh and Blood. However, I do have some concerns regarding it that LSS might at least want to think about. It's possible that these are already addressed, we don't have much information, but I still want to put these out there in case, someone from LSS is watching. First, I want to talk about a big positive with Project Blue, the price tag. Given that you're only using commons and rares, most decks are probably going to cost between 10 to 20 bucks at most, which is extremely cheap for Flesh and Blood standards, and is going to be a really good entry point for newer players. It's a lot easier to justify getting into a game when you only have to spend 10 bucks. If that, given that it's all commons and rares, people are more likely to just be able to give you a deck, given it's probably made in bulk that we're going to throw away or was going to collect dust anyway, so it's really easy to get into, and you're not going to be outclassed and outshined by people with blinged out decks because everybody's going to have decks at about the same power level. Another thing I think is a positive is kind of touching on a problem that was with Blitz, which was the power level. Blitz was meant to be Flesh and Blood's budget format, but the problem was it still used Majestics and Legendaries that were designed for Classic Constructed. Majestics and Legendaries are not designed for smaller decks, they're designed for bigger life totals. But with Project Blue, considering you're using commons and rares, they're probably about the same strength as an average, sealed or limited deck. So LSS is probably already has balancing with commons and rares in mind. So they're basically able to balance the format by doing very little, if any, extra work. Draft sets are already, designed so heroes can play against each other, and all you're doing now is just giving people the freedom to construct decks themselves, which I think is a huge positive. It makes less work for LSS, and it makes the balancing of the format itself easier, which was personally a complaint I had in Blitz. I played Dash.io in Blitz, and being able to push lethal damage consistently every turn is just not healthy for a format, in my opinion. Another concern I had that it seems like LSS already addressed was, are people actually going to play it? We had Blitz format and we had the Commoner format, but nobody ever really played it. Personally speaking, the LGSs in my area don't even run Blitz or Commoner events anymore because nobody shows up. Nobody wants to play those formats. However, given that it seems like Silver Age is going to be an actual competitive format, it seems like this could increase the drive of people playing. If you're a competitive player and you want to win events, you're going to want to practice playing Project Blue. So that can, at the very least, have your, group of competitive players, your group of grinders coming in and just playing. And even if that's just 6 people, that's enough to run an armory event. That's enough for people to just come in and play. I also think that this is going to be a really effective legacy type format. I know there's a lot of decks that have hit LL that people really want to play. I have somebody at my LGS who he really likes Kasai, but he started playing after Kasai Centauri Sellsword got banned, and that's a playstyle he's was really interested in and want to play. But now with Project Blue, he can play Kasai. He can play OG Kasai, regardless. And I think that this is going to be a really good way of paying homage to older heroes and heroes that have gone and hit Living Legend and that kind of thing. And also give people a chance to play with heroes they might not be able to play with in other contexts, like Scurv is the immediate one that comes to my mind, because who's gonna play Scurv in Blitz? Nobody. But in Project Blue, Scurv could actually do something, being able to make gold, and then creating gold kiss runs. It could be something. I don't know. I haven't tested it. I don't know. But that's where one of my concerns comes in. Given that this is an effective legacy format, could this just overtake Living Legend as a format? Living Legend so far has been a very explosive and fast format, and not many people are really interested in it, despite it being a competitive tier format and a format that's going to appear at Worlds this year for Flesh and Blood. So, is this just going to outclass and replace Living Legend? I mean, the power level is going to be lower, so it's probably going to have more people interested in it. The cost curve and the barrier of entry is going to be a lot lower because you're not going to have to buy any legendaries. That could still be very, very, very expensive, and you're going to be able to play any deck you want, and the power level is not going to be disproportionately skewed, with a couple decks being incredibly strong and dominating the format. Decks like Zen, Starvo, and Chain are still just absolutely crushing the Living Legend format. But with Project Blue, all the decks are about the same power level. Sure, maybe Azalea's a little bit stronger because she has Dominate, or Oldham is a little bit stronger because he has more defense reactions, but I can't see any one deck standing out as being above all the rest and just dominating as a tier 0 format. I can genuinely see most, if not every deck, having a fair shot to do well in Project Blue. So that then leaves the question, what's going to be left for Living Legend? Is Living Legend just going to be left to the dust? Is Living Legend going to be just abandoned? Or is Living Legend going to maybe adopt the more Project Blue-like format, where maybe if Living Legend becomes a format where you can only have a certain number of Majestics, or like maybe one Legendary in the deck, or like something, like some extreme restriction like Project Blue to control the curve of these high-powered heroes. No, I don't know, that's probably something LSS is thinking about, but you know, if you're somebody who really enjoys Living Legend, and like I haven't played Living Legend format myself, but you know, I can't say I'm not interested in it. Like, I've wanted to play new again for a while, so like playing Living Legend still seems interesting, and there's probably some heroes that aren't really going to work in Project Blue that could work in Living Legend, like, again, New, for example. I can't see New being all that big of a force in Project Blue, but she can be a pretty dominating force in Living Legend. Another worry I have with Silver Age is the fact that it doesn't seem like there's any set rotation system in place as of now, which is totally fair. You know, Classic Construct has a Living Legend system where heroes gradually, you know, go out, but the problem I have with that is this gonna slant older heroes as being the ones that everyone plays, and the newer heroes almost left in the dust a little bit? LSS seems like they're really trying to power down all the newer heroes and just make the cards around them really strong, which I can totally respect, right? Like, if you look at Florian compared to, like, Viserai, or, like, Vincent compared to Chain, there's clearly, like, a power drop in, like, how they play, and, like, there's just their hero abilities and what they have access to. So, does this mean that, like, since Chain exists, no one's gonna ever play Vincent in Silver Age? I mean, it's possible. I wouldn't like that conclusion. You know, I think Chain and Vincent are both, like, fun decks, and I would like to see both of them represented, but does this mean that, like, for example, if they release a new wizard that's, like, similar to Kano, are people just gonna stick with Kano? Because, like, why would you play another powered down version when you could just play the original? When you could just play the OG that has, you know, the better effect and the same toolbox, unless they, like, have something else for the newer heroes. Like, for example, like, you could play, like, if you're playing Florian, you have access to the Earth cards that Viserai doesn't have, like, for example. I don't know, like, this is... like, there could probably be a solution to this. I don't think having another Living Legend system for Silver Age is the solution there. We'll see. But yeah, no, if this does become like a competitive thing, if this does become like actual prizing connected to it, I'm a little bit worried that this means that the newer heroes are just not going to be used because the older heroes are better. Like, if I'm gonna pick between playing Marlin and playing Azalea, I'm gonna play Azalea. Azalea is just better than Marlin. I'm sorry, she's just better, even with the boats, like... But, honestly, despite all the issues I brought up, I still think that Silver Age has a lot of potential and could be very, very good as a Flesh and Blood format. I mean, it's very easy to get into, the power level seems like it's not drastically different between each decks, and the power ceiling doesn't seem like it's far too high. You know, they banned a lot of those early above right defense reactions, like Sink Below, so it's not gonna feel like a very blocky, block everything pass, get to the fatigue endgame kind of format, which was another worry I had when I saw the ban list. I'm like, alright, we good, we're fine there. Overall, no, I'm still very excited. It's just, honestly, some of these smaller logistical kind of issues are what I personally am just worried about. But I'm pretty sure LSS should have at least something to you know, put in to at least think about regarding these issues. But what do you guys think? Are you guys excited for Silver Age? Am I the only one excited for Silver Age? Is there any hero you want to play for Silver Age? I kind of want to start making some content on Silver Age once we get the actual, like, rules and all that, because, you know, I consider myself someone who wants to play competitively and I want to get into that competitive side, so I'll have to probably know Silver Age if I want to do, like, a Silver Age Battle Hardened or something. And I might just make content out of that, because why not? But yeah, let me know down below what you guys think of this. And while you're down there, you subscribe to this video, or the next pack you open is going to have all commons, no rares.